New Orleans drops to 2-5. Javonte Williams rushed for 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix passed for 164 yards and ran for 75. It was Sean Payton's return to New Orleans. Payton coached the Saints from 2006 to 2021 and led them to their only Super Bowl title after the 2009 season. American League Championship Series in 10 innings, the Guardians beat the Yankees 7-5 to cut New York's lead to 2-1. Jhonkensy Noel tied it with a 2-run homer with 2 outs in the 9th, and David Fry hit a 2-run shot in the 10th to win it. In the NLCS, the Dodgers took a 3-1 series lead, pounding the Mets 10-2. Shohei Ohtani hit a leadoff homer and scored 4 times. Mookie Betts went deep and drove in 4 runs. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
No way football is played in the fall and winter
because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the 2 best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, let's not know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius XM Channel 159.
Best of every day now officially underway. It is a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. I'm Donnie Rightside on a solo mission, at least for one segment here. And then, as usual, on Fridays, joined by the big man on campus, going over that college football card, the pro card, any hot topics that certainly come up. And boy, do we got some hot topics today. I'm excited because that card on Saturday for college football, let's just do a quick look down. Friday night action, you got number 2 Oregon. Starts it right off the bat, going up against Purdue. Oklahoma State, BYU tonight, couple ranked teams. Fantastic. Love the appetizer to start the weekend. Then you get into Saturday's action. The Miami Hurricanes, top 6 in the country, going to take on Louisville right off of the bat. Clemson, Virginia, that game stinks. Indiana, Nebraska, I don't care what the records are, that game stinks. Auburn, Missouri, that game stinks. Army, East Carolina, that stinks. Alabama, Tennessee, 3:30, right in the middle of that afternoon. You can dig into that. Notre Dame, Georgia, stinks. Michigan, Illinois, 2 top 25 teams. We'll see what we get out of Michigan. We'll see if Illinois can surprise. Navy and Charlotte. And by the way, both of those Service Academy teams, shout out to Army and Navy on a collision course, people, to possibly be undefeated by the time they take each other on in the Army-Navy game. Absolutely sensational. LSU, Arkansas, the game of the night. We know what it is. It's the SEC. We're ready to rock. It's Georgia. It's Texas. It's number 1. It's versus number 5. And I was actually saying today, because you guys know I absolutely love college football this year, the way it's going to play out. We're going to have a 12-team playoff. Every single game matters. More important games throughout the season. It's fantastic. And it only escalates this weekend. Georgia's already has 1 loss. The reason I bring that up is I saw a statistic today using like algorithms and analytics that if they lose this game, there's still a 60% chance, talking about Georgia, that they can still make it into the college football playoff. That is tremendous. Because, yes, Georgia is one of the top 12 teams in the country, regardless if they win or lose this game against Texas. Losing on the road against Alabama, losing on the road against Texas, no shame in your game. You should still be in the college football playoff. So this season, once again, the best season is currently underway. And if you're not enjoying it, you're doing something wrong. Some other games, Kansas State, West Virginia, SMU, Stanford, but we know what it is. The SEC is taking full control of our Saturday afternoon. Number 7 versus 11, Alabama, Tennessee, 3:30 p.m. Then you shift it over tonight, Georgia and Texas from Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. That game is going to be absolutely sensational. Can't wait to watch it play out. Love it. And it's a shame if you people feel that college football is not the same anymore because the regular season is meaningless. Don't watch that football game because it's obviously meaningless to you. Not to me, people. Not to me, people. Let me hit a little retweet button out there for SportsGrid Radio. The ways you can watch and listen on the SportsGrid app, sportsgridradio.com, Sirius XM channel 159, and even now on YouTube, as I'm watching myself right there. SportsGrid on demand. Hit the subscribe button. Come in the chat box. Say hello. It's a football Friday. It's how we get down. Now, let's get to what happened yesterday. Major League Baseball, absolutely sensational. That game with the Yankees and the Guardians, 7-5 final, unbelievable theater. Big Christmas hitting a 2-run shot to tie that game up. David Fry walking off a 2-run bomb in extra innings. That game had everything except a winning ticket for me. I'm telling you, the past couple days, we have been knocking on heaven's door and somehow not being able to get the key to get in. Just needed a base knock out of Jose Ramirez. Checkmate. Just needed the Guardians to score 3 runs. Checkmate. Just needed Stephen Kwan to either get an RBI, a base hit, or score a run. And if you watch the first inning, leads off the game with a walk. No big deal. Single right behind him. Man on second, nobody out. He scores. We don't have to worry about him the rest of the game. He didn't score in that first inning. So, he's going to have a lot of opportunities. The man got up to the plate, 6 times yesterday? Got on base twice, but by 2 walks. Couldn't cash that ticket. That's a shame, but that game was sensational. And tonight, another doubleheader in Major League Baseball. We'll try to get after it and win some money. Get that money back that we lost, which we should have won with that profit boost. We'll see what some of the boosts out here across the sports landscape have in order to get involved. Game number 2, Dodgers-Mets. I mean, you got to be kidding me here with the Dodgers at the plate. 10 runs scored, 12 hits. What's the best way to quiet the home crowd once again? I don't know. Shohei Ohtani leading off, which he has not been able to do anything in playoffs with runners not on base. Runners on base, and he's absolutely torching. But he leads the game off with a home run, and away the Dodgers go in an absolute blowout. And the Mets, who got smoked in game number 1, showed that fight in game number 2, came back to Citi Field in New York City. Queens was ready to absolutely explode if the Mets gave them any chance to explode. They didn't. Drawing dead, as I like to say, scoring runs. The Dodgers, 3 of these games have absolutely smashed the New York Mets. Now we're on the brink of elimination tonight, and maybe we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But if you do follow me at Rightside VP on X, I'll make sure if those tickets are out there, we'll put them out, we'll have some fun, and we'll cash in some tickets. Let's flip it over to what happened last night in the NFL. 33-10, an absolute blowout. I thought Denver would win that game. I bet him on the money line, along with a parlay of Javonte Williams to get 50-plus rushing and receiving. He crushed that. That was such an easy winner. But if you guys watch live, and I know you do, you guys are great supporters of the network here. If you saw Pro Football Today yesterday, I had a parlay in, which, again, wasn't bad because it was a bonus, which means every touchdown that was scored in that game, you get $10 back. So I got $40 back. But I bet 50 just to qualify, just to get some action in that football game. Went again, doubled down on Javonte Williams. Finished with 14 carries, 88 yards, couple catches for 23 yards, easily going over that 50 total number. Also took my guy Bub Means, who finished with 3 catches for 37 yards, going over the 25 I needed him to get to. But it was basically a 2-to-1 parlay, and the last leg of that was cruel. It was Devon Vele. First half, right off the bat, 20-yard catch. All right. I have an entire game to get 5 more yards out of Devon Vele, excuse me. Second half, rolls her out of the pocket. Bo Nix fires a strike on the sideline, gets his feet down, about a 15-yard catch. No. That's coming back on a hold. I said, you've got to be kidding me. But the worst one, live on TV, looked like the game was over, and it was. It was a blowout from the Denver Broncos from the start. The Saints shouldn't even have been involved in that game. They should have just retired by the end of the first quarter. But Vele gets a slip screen and runs for about 7 to 8 yards, and we are cheering on the set. Tickets are cashing. I'm like, man, that's one for the good guys. They didn't have to throw any more passes, got that. And then out of nowhere, of course, the referee drops the yellow hanky onto the field, illegal man downfield, and we were stolen. This was stolen from me again. And it's happened way too many times. Did you watch Monday Night Football? Pro Football Today in Game Live? Did you watch that one? Where I just needed a rushing touchdown from the Jets, which they got to celebrate, dancing in front of the camera, only to see the yellow flag marker come up on my screen with a hold from Tyron Smith, who actually did hold on that play. But my goodness, those runs are going to turn around. I'm telling you, the runs are going to turn around. I figure it's going to turn around today. But bigger picture, the Denver Broncos moved to 4-3, winning record 3-1 on the road. The Saints stink right now. They're really injured. They're starting Spencer Rattler. He was under siege for the entire night. Alvin Kamara had 7 carries for 10 yards and then chipped in with 6 catches. Oh, that was a big night? No, for 14 yards. Denver was just pinning their ears back late in that game and just barreling over and actually knocked Spencer Rattler out of that game. Shout out Jake Haener, 3 of 4, 38 yards and a touchdown coming in relief. I know some people were cheering on that over. Had to love themselves some Jake Haener yesterday. Javonte Williams looked good. And by the way, if you were doing some props on the Denver Broncos, Cortland Sutton, where were you all night? No targets in that game. Denver rolls. The Saints started the season 2-0, looked like the most impressive team in the NFL, lost 5 straight games. The big man on campus coming up next. Don't you go anywhere. Keep the dial right here on SiriusXM channel 159.
Fall is here. It's getting cooler. Football and the World Series are coming in.
Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Americans spent more at retailers last month. With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Bank of America Merrill Investments. Retail sales rose 0.4% from August to September. That's up 0.1% from the previous month and the third straight increase. The Fed has found that it's mostly upper and middle income Americans who are driving the increased retail spending by consumers. Many lower income households, by contrast, have struggled to keep up with the sharply higher prices and interest rates. Universal Orlando Resort will open its 4th theme park in Central Florida just in time for Memorial Day next year, upping the competition against Disney in the theme park capital of the U.S. Universal Epic Universe will open to visitors on May 22nd with themed areas based on Harry Potter, Super Nintendo, and How to Train Your Dragon, as well as monster movie brands. Tickets and vacation packages for the new theme park go on sale next week. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Extravagant, luxurious, lavish. The $7 Lux Cravings Box from Taco Bell satisfies all your crunchiest, cheesiest, sauciest cravings. Indulge in a beefy 5-layer burrito, chicken chalupa supreme, Doritos Locos Taco, and chips and a drink for an unluxurious price. It's Lux for less. Get yours today at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks excludes freezers. Tax extra.
Days are getting cooler and shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means?
It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Let's go get them, shots! Hey, hey, hey.
Right back at it here, people. It's a Football Friday, SiriusXM channel 159. It's Moneyline. It's Donnie Rightside. Joined as always on Friday by the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. Jeff, what's good, man? What's good?
Thank you for having me as always. What's happening, Donnie?
Living life, man. Living life. Love to have you on Friday. So many hot topics to go around. Great college football card this weekend. Exciting times in the NFL. The New York Yankees, Cleveland Guardians now engaged in a series. We're looking to see if the Dodgers can close out the New York Mets. So good times here. By the way, I know you're a Yankees guy. That game had everything in it as a Yankees fan for fun, except the Yankees losing that game. huge home runs in big spots on both teams, Jeff. I love October baseball, man. I do.
Yeah, as I've told you, I'm sitting on a big future on the Yankees, 20-1. I'm very happy about it. Last night, just some bad pitches, quite honestly. I mean, I don't know what else you can say. The bullpen wasn't good. What can you do? I mean, Cleveland has a better bullpen. They had the best bullpen in the major leagues all season. Yankees were right there, but you can't serve some of those pitches they served up. And look, Cleveland found a way. Hopefully the Yankees can bounce back, get that up to 3-1 tonight, and hopefully finish it out and move on to the World Series.
One of the more dominant closers in baseball that we've seen over the past 2 decades had to be Clase A this year, Jeff. 0.61 ERA, absolutely filthy, unhittable. Aaron Judge has 2 strikes on him, and a perfect pitch placement by Clase ends up in a home run opposite field for Aaron Judge in cold weather. That was one of the most impressive swings I've seen lately. And, of course, Giancarlo Stanton follows up with another home run. It's like, hey, Yankees are here. Yankees are ready to close the door on them, and some extra innings explosions happening. But I enjoyed watching it, yeah.
Yeah, Luke Weaver, I mean, just a horrific pitch to Noel there. I mean, a guy like that is – by the way, did he have any emotion? You got to love that. He just hit the ball, ran around like nothing happened. It's a bad pitch, and you kind of had a feeling they were going to lose in extra innings. It was a good atmosphere there in Cleveland, and big game for the Yankees tonight. I mean, this could this will decide the series probably.
It really will. Jeff, by the way, big news dropped yesterday. On my way up to the studio to do Pro Football Today, and I'm hearing in my car listening to the Sports Grid Network, Scott Farrell, Coast to Coast. Hey, breaking news coming in. Tony Bennett retiring from coaching at UVA. You love yourself some college basketball. Now, I like to preface this by saying, I hope it's nothing. I haven't heard any of the details. But the minute I heard he was retiring, and I haven't heard any personal, any health issues, I love it, Jeff, because the one thing I do, I have bet Virginia. I have made money on Virginia. But it's one team, Jeff, that I look forward to every single year, not making a deep run into the college tournament because I can't stand the way they play basketball. I loved his retirement yesterday. How about you?
Yeah, I get it. I feel the opposite. I love watching them play basketball. I think it's an orchestrated ballet. And I think, look, it is hard to get young kids today to care about defense like that. I mean, I've talked about this in the handicapping that I do. To get kids to come there, it's almost like going to a military school, right? You have to do certain things as a basketball player. It's not sexy to play defense, Donnie. It's not sexy to watch a 47-45 type of game. Kids want to dunk. They want to shoot. They want to, do that kind of thing. And I think it's harder and harder in this day and age for Tony to attract kids to come there. That said, he's put a bunch of kids in the NBA. He's done a lot to improve their quality of life. I think he's a great coach. He's one of my favorites. His father was a great coach as well. But you're going to see a lot more of this. You're going to see the older guard. They're just going to be moving on because it's harder and harder to coach these young people today with the NIL and the transfer stuff. Donnie, do you realize real quick, there are about 5,200 college basketball players on night one of Division I. Nearly 1,800 transferred this year. That's about 20%, over 20%. That's crazy. It's just sad sign of the times.
It's hard. And also, you're right about the way Virginia plays because you can sell a kid, right? Say, okay, I like Tony Bennett, I like UVA. I think I can fit in there. And it used to be where you'd go on campus, like, boy, I don't really know if this fits here. And the coach says, look, man, it's going to be tough. I'm going to sell you on it. Let's see what you can do. Now kids can just check out immediately and say, I'll transfer wherever I want to. It used to be, hey, you know what? I don't like it so much. And I don't care what type of athlete player you are. 17, 8 years old, Jeff. Usually you are the big superstar on campus in your high school. You live at home. You have all your friends. You go 2,000 miles away and things don't work out over the first 2 weeks. People get homesick right away. Now you can just check out and just get out of there where it used to be like, hey, you know what? I'm so glad I stuck through this. What a great education I got. What a great coach I had. We won a national championship. Everything worked out. You may never know that because that kid might wind up at, Stetson the next year because I just want to take the easy way out. I don't like the way this game is played here and I just want to leave. But also, have you heard any details on Tony Bennett? Because I'm seeing John Rolstein here on Twitter with a couple quotes. So he must be speaking now or spoke to somebody. Is it just he's tired? Because this is interesting timing, Jeff. Usually you do this and say, you know what? This is going to be my last year. I'll coach it and then I'm done. Or once you get done, I'm going to have a press conference Tuesday after the season. I'm going to hand it off to another coach and they can get underway. Why was this done less than 3 weeks, Jeff, before their first game?
Look, I don't think he's going to come out and tell anyone why, but I think we can all kind of see the writing on the wall here. I mean, ask yourself why, Jay Wright is retired. You ask yourself why Coach K is retired, why this is going to continue to happen. It is very difficult nowadays to do this. And I think, Tony's probably burned out. He's tired of it. He doesn't want to keep doing it. And he'll go and do something else. He's only 55 years old. He's not, not 70.
Yeah.
No, I think today will be your normal. I'm so happy and thankful for the university. They've done a lot for me, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's hard nowadays to do this. There's got to be some sort of fix. And I'm not saying to get rid of NIL. That's not going to happen. But there's got to be some sort of like rules associated with it. What's funny, Donnie? The transfer rules we used to have where you'd be punished if you transferred, you'd have to sit out.
Yes, correct.
Why did we ever get rid of that? That should be going on right now. Like, I mean,
there's people, Jeff, that argue against it and say they would like to see the transfer. Like you can actually like transfer on a Tuesday and play Wednesday at like Alabama for a different team. I'm with you though, because we have to also understand they're still young kids. They're not 45-year-old, men that have been around the block in the working scheme. You do get and face adversity, Jeff. Like imagine if you showed up at every job on like hey, I started Monday, and then by Wednesday you signed the contract, and by Thursday, like, you know what? I think I'm moving on. And the employer goes, oh, no, you have a no-compete clause. You're not going anywhere at this point. Like, I might as well stick it out. And then it turns out good.
Exactly.
Yeah, college kids, man, too young to make those decisions. It is what it is. College football on deck next. We got a big weekend to get to. A lot of SEC action. We'll be right back.
Fall is coming. Don't look like an idiot at work. Know your stuff. Football and everything else. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
Reggie Jackson. Game 6 of the 1977 World Series. Reggie Jackson belts 3 home runs, giving the Yankees their first World Championship in 12 years.
And bam, wondered how far it was going to go. I knew it was a home run. It was so high. I just kind of cruised around the bases, about 2 feet off the ground.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
If you've ever brewed your own beer, you may have discovered that bad brewer's yeast, through a process called hyperattenuation, can massively boost the beer's alcohol content, change its flavor, or, in a worst-case scenario, make your beer explode.
Cheers.
New research by the American Society of Microbiology found that adding small amounts of one of 8 different kinds of killer toxins to your beer prevents bad taste, extra alcohol content, and explosions. But if not done carefully, might lead to other problems. Follow me at Chica Palbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Football full circle.
He's not a number 1 wide receiver at any point in his career, but it'll help Buffalo. Let's face it, it'll help the Bills.
You don't believe Cooper's a legitimate number 1? He was down with the Raiders.
No. He was never. No one's staying awake at night worried about Amari Cooper. No, good gosh, no.
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Scott Wetzel. Weekdays, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Fall is almost here. It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Shout out to everybody here in the chat box with us on SportsGrid On Demand, listening on Sirius XM Channel 159 in every which way, including SportsGrid.com and the SportsGrid app that you can support the show. Love to see it. Jeff, before we flip it over to college football, I saw you put out a tweet there recognizing what a legend, obviously, that Tony Bennett has been at UVA and an institution. I always get a kick out of this, Jeff, because obviously time moves on, we grow older. But when the icons retire, right? Like Bennett's been there 15 years. It feels like he's been there 35 years at Virginia. Coach K moves on. Like never thought that would happen. When I was growing up, John Thompson III, I thought he looked the same age from when I first saw him in the early 80s right through to his retirement, said, man, I can't believe that time moves that fast here. So many great coaches moving on at this point here. Are we losing that star status now for the college basketball? Because I know your guy out in Gonzaga, he feels like the last of a breed right now.
Yeah, and I think what we're also going to lose is the power that a coach has to a young man or woman, right?
Yep.
Because you mentioned John Thompson. John Thompson was a great coach. He won on the court, but you also look at what he did off the court. Okay, John Thompson changed the lives and trajectories of young men. And we're just not seeing that anymore. It's okay, well, I'll just kind of be here to babysit you, and I'm not going to really help you as long as you win and help me. It's just kind of sad, but I think it's the deterioration of society. We don't have people like this anymore, really at any level, whether you're just an intramural type player or a person in a city somewhere. These types of people are no longer around. And like, Donnie, when you were a kid and you maybe got in trouble, there was an outlet where you could go to a Boys and Girls Club or something like that, and you had someone that could teach you something if maybe you didn't have a father. The John Cheneys and the John Thompsons are a dying breed. They just don't exist anymore. And now it's allowing the kid to do what they want. If they don't like it, they could just go somewhere else. There's no consequence for anything. And in a society, people were just going to leave and do what they want. That's just how things work. As you said, if you're not getting playing time, well, it's not, okay, I'll get better and maybe earn my spot. I'll just go play somewhere else. You know, it's just a 20-year thing. And in 20 years, it's no surprise that it's being destroyed.
You know, it's funny, we talk college basketball and, all the fun that's had. It's just a shame because I know, Jeff, you were young and obviously, not around for most of the Chaney years in the 80s. But I just, get back to that notion, John Chaney as an institution, this little, gym, McGonigal Hall, North Broad, constant top 10 teams here, and just what that could have actually been. If Temple was able to make it through the 80s and 90s, the post-Chaney era. I know we were there when Fran Dunphy and the Temple Owls finally got back to the NCAA tournament, but I just look at Philadelphia basketball and think if, you transpose the thought, if John Chaney left and Jay Wright, took over Temple, how much fun that would actually be and how impactful it would have been in North Philly. But college basketball is only a couple weeks away. The fun will get there.
Real quick, you just look at how John Chaney was able to do it. Look at you look at John Thompson. He did it through Proposition 48. He went out and found players that he wanted to help as men become better men and do better in the classroom. And look at if Allen Iverson went to prison. If John Thompson didn't give him a shot, we wouldn't have had Allen Iverson, right? Yeah. So it's just a shame, but it's the sign of how it is.
And also a school like at Georgetown. It's not look, I'm not shaming any other institutions out there. Georgetown is one of the top academic institutions in the country. John Thompson turned that into a basketball inner-city powerhouse, one of the greatest things ever. And Hoya paranoia was real in the 1980s. Like me, a white kid living in South Jersey, Jeff. In third grade, I would go to class, Jeff, with a Georgetown Hoyas jersey. I loved Georgetown growing up. And in the 90s, when I got to high school, who wasn't wearing those Nike Georgetown jerseys? They are some of the best uniforms, most iconic players coming through there. What an institution there. But, Jeff, it is a football Friday. We're going to transition over. Friday night action tonight. You got some top 10 team, top 10 team in Oregon, top 15 team in BYU. Any looks tonight, Oregon, Purdue, Oklahoma State, BYU tonight, or any other games tonight for that matter?
Yeah, one game that I'm betting, I like Duke -3 against Florida State. I don't understand.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I don't understand this line. I think we just have to kind of realize Florida State's not good. They're 1-5 straight up. Donnie, Duke has lost 22 straight matchups. They've never beaten Florida State ever.
Yes.
They're off a bye. They're off a loss. They're bowl eligible with a win. This is a big headline game for them. Florida State just isn't a good football team. Their quarterback plays bad. I think Duke's a damn good defense. I think they win this game in the area of 24-14, 27-17. I think they take care of business here behind a good defense and finally get off the schneid against a good against a team they've never beaten. So
yeah, only two road games so far for Florida State, Jeff. 42-16 blasting by SMU. Come on, Duke. Pull out the dub tonight. We'll be back. A lot more information to go because that Saturday college football card is fantastic. And the big man on campus is here on a Friday to help us break it all down. We'll be right back.
Time to Coil up that garden hose.
Fall is here, and SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and everything else. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The Broncos pounded the Saints 33-10 last night in New Orleans. Denver 4-3 with the win. New Orleans drops to 2-5. Javonte Williams rushed for 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix passed for 164 yards and ran for 75. It was Sean Payton's return to New Orleans. Payton coached the Saints from 2006 to 2021 and led them to their only Super Bowl title after the 2009 season. American League Championship Series in 10 innings. The Guardians beat the Yankees 7-5 to cut New York's lead to 2-1. Jean-Kenzie Noel tied it with a 2-run homer with 2 outs in the 9th, and David Fry hit a 2-run shot in the 10th to win it. In the NLCS, the Dodgers took a 3-1 series lead, pounding the Mets 10-2. Shohei Ohtani hit a leadoff homer and scored 4 times. Mookie Betts went deep and drove in 4 runs. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
I was so excited when I heard the sandwich was back. What's up? This is Mike.
And this is Celia.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich
is the symphony of flavors. You can always count on that crispy, tender, juicy chicken. It's so good.
My favorite part is the pimento cheese. Topped off with the honey, it all comes together perfectly. I like the original.
I like the spicy chicken fillet. But either way,
you're getting a winner.
The Chick-fil-A Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich is back with a bite. Try it with the original or spicy filet now for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture with daily use.
Before your very eyes.
The boys of summer are about to become the champions of fall.
MLB playoffs are coming.
And SportsGrid will bring you all the angles, strategies, and info.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Moneyline right here, the best hour of your day. You know it's underway. The big man on campus, Donnie Wright's out here breaking down some college football action. We'll talk a little NFL a bit later. Jeff, I want to start in the ACC. You got 2 games at noon on Saturday. Miami versus Louisville. Miami favored roughly 4.5, 5, depending where you're shopping, at a total of around 60 points. Virginia and Clemson. Clemson heavily favored at minus 21. I want to start Clemson first because I don't really know about handicapping or breaking that game down against Virginia. But are we buying back in on Clemson? Got beat opening day by a really good football team. Looked like they were still going to have their offensive woes at Clemson, but they've really broke out of their shell. Are we believing Clemson can win the ACC, take down Miami, and be a college football playoff team this year?
I think it's definitely in the cards. Yeah. I mean, I think Clemson's really just bounced back. They look like the team that I thought they'd be under Garrett Riley as offensive coordinator. Klubnik looks really good. Looks like a guy that can contend for a Heisman Trophy. I think he's a guy that we got to kind of throw back into the ring. He is got them playing really well. This is another really good opportunity to play well. Virginia is a bad defensive team. I will say, though, you've got to make sure this isn't another Vanderbilt, Alabama type game. Because, look, I'm not going to say that Virginia is Vandy, but they're better. Yeah. They are a better quarterback team. Tony Elliott was at Clemson for many years, the coach of Virginia. I like the over in this game. I think Virginia can move the football. I don't think they're going to stop Clemson, but Clemson's definitely in the running. I think SMU's a team to keep an eye on as well. Mm-hmm. They've played really well in this conference. Yeah. Louisville's got a nice opportunity. I think tomorrow as well in that game, I don't have any interest in really playing Louisville per se. I think the over has a lot of value to me. I think Miami's going to move the football. They do it against everybody. You keep in mind, Donnie, they have almost 40 yards more a game through the air than anyone else. They're just an up and down offense. Louisville's going to have to throw the football as well. I don't know if they've totally been tested defensively. And when they are, they've struggled. So I kind of had this 38-31, 37-34, something like that. I think 60.5, 59.5 is too low.
Yeah, Miami living on the edge the past couple of games, man. You can't be, down in football games and have miracle comebacks. Sooner or later, it bites you here. We'll see if Miami gets grounded in this game. They do have Florida State on deck, Jeff. And the past, you're like, hey, Miami might be looking past Louisville. Well, Florida State is absolutely horrendous. So I know Miami, it's a rivalry type of game, but it's no longer that, hey, Florida State's ranked number 8 next week. We better make sure, hopefully, we win this week just to be able to take on Florida State and still be unbeaten. We'll see how that plays out. But Clay Klubnik, by the way, for Clemson. Go ahead. Yep.
Real quick, Louisville, they're 2 step-up games. Played Notre Dame, gave up 31. Played SMU, gave up 34. So this isn't a defense that I think can deal with the rigors of facing a good pass offense. And you're right. I mean, you used to have to prepare for Florida State, and you still do. I mean, all a team is waiting for is for you. And remember, if you're Florida State, you're going to get up for that game probably more than other ones. So, you got to take every game at a time.
Let me ask you about the service academies, because when I do just look at the top 25, Army and Navy are sitting in there. Army, 6-0, 5-0 in the American. Navy, 5-0, 3-0 in the American. Maybe on a collision course for the best Army-Navy game we've ever witnessed here. How crazy would that be? Talking about Army-Navy, Jeff, and also a chance that one of those schools makes it into the college football playoff. Is it possible?
I don't think. You look at Army, I just don't know if, their schedule is putrid. I mean, they're taking care of business. They're blowing teams out. And I've been on Army 4 straight weeks. I bet them 4 straight weeks. I love Navy too. I like the tinge of kind of the threat they're going to throw the football. Navy's, though, got a good win. They beat Memphis. I don't know how good, though, that win is. Navy does play Notre Dame here in a week or two. That's going to kind of be their season decider there. I guess Navy has probably a better shot. But they've both been cover machines. And I'll tell you tomorrow, I'm not sure that either team they're facing can stop what they're doing. Donnie, I'll just throw this out. East Carolina, who plays Army, I mean, they can't stop anybody on the ground right now. They just gave up almost 360 to Charlotte. And I've heard issues in the quarterback room down there. Both quarterbacks are injured. They've already benched one of their quarterbacks at ECU. That does not bode well going up to play Army, who is murdering teams right now.
They are murdering teams. Their quarterback, 107 carries, 738 and 14 touchdowns. Yeah, that's a quarterback out there, people, that's running wild. I just enjoy it. Like, they're the anomaly. Like, when those two teams are usually bad and they get a couple wins on the season, but the Army-Navy game's always fun. Like, you have 2 legitimately good football programs now. It's just fun to watch, and that resurgence of we're just waiting for those power conferences.
I think you're going to get it. Look, is Navy going to be undefeated? Probably not. I'm sure they probably will lose to Notre Dame. But you look at Army, I mean, the only game that I could see them possibly losing would be North Texas. I have that game circled, by the way. Over. I'm all over the over in that game. North Texas, Donnie, that offense, if nobody knows, North Texas is unbelievable on offense. They're such a fun team. But I think we'll get a really good Army-Navy game regardless. Should be fun.
Let's line this one up, Jeff. Alabama, Tennessee. Now, it's hard to say these two teams are struggling. One is ranked 7th, one is ranked 11th. But I think there was a lot more promise, at least from like the offensive side of things early in the season, specifically for Tennessee, who was just rolling teams. Then all of a sudden stumbles just a little bit, needs a little bit extra to win last week. Alabama loses to Vanderbilt, struggles against South Carolina. Alabama on the road at Tennessee, Rocky Top, roughly a field goal favorite with a total 56.5. Now, I don't handicap college football like I used to in the past and spend a ton of time. But, Jeff, I saw the 56.5, and I said, I'm probably going to take under in this football game if I was going anywhere. What do you say, Alabama, Tennessee?
Yeah, I think sharp money will be on the under for sure. Squares will be back in the over. They always think of, what about a couple of years ago? Like that matters.
Yeah. That was a crazy game.
I'll tell you what, I would lean the home dog here. I think Tennessee's the play. They haven't been great lately, but they've done enough. I like Nico a lot. I just don't think, for what it's worth, I don't love Alabama's defense. I think they'll play good enough, but I feel like Tennessee's more likely to get a stop. On a neutral field, Alabama will be a 6-point favorite. I'm not, or that's a bit high to me. I don't see it. I think this game's a field goal game either way. You probably push. It's not a game I'm wagering on. I have no interest in games like this a lot of the time, but I lean Tennessee. I like Josh Heupel a lot, and I like Nico. I think he bounces back and has a big game here.
I'll tell you, Jalen Milroe is still having a good season, but something just isn't right with Alabama the past 2 weeks. I understand you're supposed to have a letdown, and Vanderbilt is better than what the Vanderbilt teams of the past were, but you still should win that game. They couldn't even stop Vandy at all, and last week they were right on the cusp of getting beat at home as a 3-touchdown favorite against South Carolina. Something just isn't clicking with Alabama. Maybe they get it back this week. Maybe they don't, but I'll tell you, I think the eyes of the country are going to be down in the Lone Star State on Saturday night, 7:30 kickoff. That's Georgia and Texas, number 1 versus number 5. But I'll tell you what, Georgia, You want to find your way in a college football playoff by playing at Alabama and at Texas, top-ranked teams left and right, continuing to say we're one of the best teams in the country. They're getting points, Jeff, and they're getting over a field goal in this game. 56.5 is a total. Beck going up against, Quinn Ewers. What are the expectations for you in this football game?
Yeah, it's too high to me. I could understand it being 3, but 5, that's testing. I mean, Georgia did lose to Alabama. They obviously have themselves to blame for that, but now you have an opportunity, and this is the great thing about this new enhanced playoff. You have the ability to lose a close game to a good team and still be right there. If Georgia wins this game, Donnie, they're right back in the national title picture. They're right back in the playoff. This is a big game for them. They need to take care of business. I think they've been kind of going through the motions the last couple of weeks, and now they're going to have their shot. I like Carson Beck. I think the defense is still good enough. Texas, we could kind of ask ourselves, if you're going to ask ourselves who Indiana's played or teams like that, who has Texas played? I mean, seriously. I mean, there's not a lot here.
Michigan they played.
Yeah, Michigan's been to the red zone, Donnie, 11 times this year. I mean, give me a break. I'm gonna lean on Georgia here. I'll go against the public. The public is all over Texas. They can't lose.
Yeah, Texas smashed Oklahoma last week. Quinn Ewers didn't play all that well. Like, that game could have been even worse. Like, are you playing a little bit off of that saying? Like, are you hoping that Arch Manning does not appear in this game? Like, would you rather just have Quinn Ewers all the way through?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think if Arch Manning plays, it means that Texas is rolling, right? They love Quinn Ewers. They're going to stick with Quinn Ewers, and it'll get the job done against teams like Oklahoma. But this is where I think this could come back to bite them a little bit. You got to throw your kitchen sink at the wall. But if you're Texas and you lose this game, I mean, does it really matter that much?
No, you'll still be in the college football playoff. Love to see it. Let's talk some NFL next with the big man on campus right here on the Sports Grid Network.
Yeah, it's getting cooler.
Football weather is here.
Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. American League Championship Series in 10 innings. The Guardians beat the Yankees 7-5 to cut New York's lead to 2-1. Jhonkensy Noel tied it with a 2-run homer with 2 outs in the 9th, and David Fry hit a 2-run shot in the 10th to win it. In the NLCS, the Dodgers took a 3-1 series lead, pounding the Mets 10-2. Shohei Ohtani hit a leadoff homer and scored 4 times. Mookie Betts went deep and drove in 4 runs. The Broncos pounded the Saints 33-10 last night in New Orleans. Denver 4-3 with the win. New Orleans drops to 2-5. Javonte Williams rushed for 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix passed for 164 yards and ran for 75. It was Sean Payton's return to New Orleans. Payton coached the Saints from 2006 to 2021 and led them to their only Super Bowl title after the 2009 season. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Macy's is here to help you shift seasons in style. Shop fall wardrobe must-haves like matching knit sets and dresses, quilted jackets and puffers for her, and vintage-inspired sweaters he'll love. And Macy's has great deals on home essentials like cozy blankets and throws and modern kitchen appliances. Plus, Star Rewards members earn rewards on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. Learn more at Macy's.com/Star Rewards today at Macy's.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up.
Sit tight.
The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information
to give you the winning edge.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
You hear that song, Many Men. By the way, Jeff Nadeau, did you know Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles were playing that song at practice? Like, Sirianni's feeling his oats, shaved his head, yelling at the fans. A resurgence for the boys. By the way, we'll get to that Eagles-Giants game in a bit, but I want to go a couple hot topics with you in the NFL. Two of them that just happened this week, Jeff. The New York Jets lost the football game to the Buffalo Bills. They go out and get Devontae Adams. And on the other side, the Buffalo Bills win that football game against the Jets, go out and get Amari Cooper. What do you think about those two moves and impact-wise in the AFC East and the AFC?
I think the Bills got the worser of the receivers. I heard someone in your commercials there say that I'm not losing sleep over Amari Cooper. I couldn't agree more. Like, I'm not either. Like, that's a nice player. I guess, it'll help. And Josh Allen's a great quarterback. It's definitely better to have plenty of weapons than not that many. But then again, who the hell really knows? Maybe Devontae Adams, that's kind of a mess there right now. All the things that happened with Salah, it's playing in New York. I got a feeling that Josh Allen will do more with less than Aaron Rodgers will do with more. And remember, as we know, we see this with the super teams in the NBA. Mm-hmm. There's only one football, right? So is Garrett Wilson going to start whining because he's not getting the ball? I feel like they have a good culture up in Buffalo to the point where Amari Cooper's kind of went through the throes of playing in places like Cleveland, right? He's not, all due respect to him, as I said, he's not, a mystifying receiver. He's a good receiver. He'll help them. But I think it's just a better situation. Weirdly enough, I think the Bills probably got the better of it in the end. Maybe not getting the best player, but the best situation.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Amari Cooper is a number one wideout. Is he the guy that's going to take over the NFL? No, he's not. But he steps into that wide receiver room. Khalil Shakir, slot guy, not going to interrupt him at all. You take a look at Keon Coleman, young rookie trying to find his way. Great person to learn from Amari Cooper. I think it fits perfectly. And also, I never watched the Jets and said, Jeff, well, if they could just get a really good wide receiver, they'd be really good. Like, I just think that's a mess waiting to happen. But I can't disagree with, you got Devontae Adams. You are a better football team if you get Devontae Adams. There's no question about that. I just don't know if that's what the Jets. They just need Aaron Rodgers to play like Aaron Rodgers. Not even MVP Aaron Rodgers. Just give me decent Aaron Rodgers, and they would have a winning record right now, not a below 500 number.
I saw Amari Cooper's press conference. He talked about like it being a blank canvas. Was he 30 years old at this point?
Yes.
And it kind of reminds me of those situations where like you're doing pretty well in life, Donnie, and then you get a bunch of inheritance money and you think, oh, I'm doing pretty good already. I can feel comfortable with my life. Yeah. Like I'm going to go and, you feel like a new start and you have no struggle anymore. I feel like he's going to do really well there. It seems like a great situation for him. We'll see what the Jets look like. I think a lot of people are going to run to the betting window on Sunday to take the Jets. And again, remember, there's only one football. So, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's like Amari Cooper. We all been through this, right? Yeah, maybe a stressful day. You're punching out some work in the house. You lose track of time. You open up the door. You go outside, Jeff. It's a beautiful day. And you just close your eyes and take that deep breath like, hey, you know what, man? Life is still good at this point. I think Amari Cooper is getting a little bit of a blast of that. Jeff, Sunday Night Football, Jets, Pittsburgh Steelers. TBD listed as the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Fields, Russ, does it matter? Where are you going in this football game? Because I love it. It's a great Sunday Night Football game with a lot of great topics to talk about. 1.5-point favorite for the Jets here.
It definitely matters. Justin Fields stinks. I mean, I've said that all year. He stinks. Not any good.
There's a lot of people on this network. There's one guy on this network, Jeff, that'll fight you tooth and nail about Justin Fields. Watch out.
That's fine. I mean, the truth is I've seen him play, and he's been not very good. I mean, how many wins in his career does he have? 5, I think. Not many. Maybe more than that. But either way, I'm not a fan of him. Give Russell Wilson a shot. Look, if it doesn't work, you can always go back to Fields. They're not a great offense. They make their hay over the defensive end. Justin Fields has been average. If you can get something better out of Russell Wilson, you got to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree because if you want to win football games in the regular season, there's a lot of bad football teams, and the Steelers can just beat up on bad football teams, maybe get Mike Tomlin his 9-8 season and get blasted in the playoffs if you make it there. But I just figure like you have, and I use this equation, Jeff, it's like college basketball. You just need a point guard at quarterback. Like how many times you watch Justin Fields? It's like the guy's wide open 5 feet away or 5 yards away. He can't make that simple throw. Russell Wilson will be able to make the simple throw. You can use short yardage situations with Justin Fields. I think it's the right move long-term this season for the Steelers if they want to win anything at that point. And certainly we'll see how that one plays out. Jeff, 4:25 p.m., there's no better team coming off a bye than the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid at 21-4 in his career. Mahomes, Purdy, slight favorite to San Francisco. Kansas City, not as talented as they have been, not even last year when I thought they were sort of a little compromised on offense. How do you see that game going with Kansas City and San Francisco?
Yeah, I know what I'm going to get off of a bye with Andy Reid. 21-4 in his career. I mean, that's unbelievable. I'm getting them as a dog. I'm getting Patrick Mahomes as a dog. I love the Chiefs. I'll be all over them. I just don't really care a lot of the time who's playing. You just get a more responsive team with this group off a bye. It really doesn't matter who's there. I still think their defense is pretty good. I'm all in on the Chiefs in this spot.
Should be a fun one to watch it play out, too. Super Bowl rematch, see who gets the best of each other. And you're right about it. Like, handicapping, you're not supposed to do this as a handicapper. And all offseason, I was like, what do you think about the season? I go, is Andy Reid going to coach? Okay. Is Patrick Mahomes going to be healthy? Okay. Like, you can't ever fault anybody. You can't ever fault it with just saying, well, who are the Chiefs playing? And is Mahomes there? I'll just take the Chiefs. I don't care who's on the rest of his team because, quite frankly, he's not playing well this year. They're still unbeaten. It's just what they do. They know how to win and make plays at the right moment.
And you're 100% right. I just want to throw this out there.
Yeah.
Kansas City's covered 5 straight games as an underdog in 8 of 10. In those 10 games, they've won 4 outright. So they're very good in this role. They're not often an underdog, but they've won 10 straight games. I mean, they're still very good.
Well, what happens if somebody would have told you, Jeff, like, what about Kansas City since 1980 coming off a bye week? Like, how do you feel about that? You know what I mean? Always.
There's still a bunch of handicappers that'll tell us that.
Since 1992, the Kansas City Chiefs playing on a Sunday after a bye week here. I say, come on now. Was Andy Reid? No. Was Patrick Mahomes there? No. Well, who was there? Christian Okoye, Barry Word? Yeah, come on now. Stop the madness. I mean, my goodness.
By the way, how much time do we have on this segment?
Well, probably only like 15, 20 seconds. Like, not long.
I was going to bring up, I was watching the episode of The Sopranos the other day where Tony's on the losing streak. He loses every game. It just made me think of that because we're talking about the NFL.
How about the guy? That guy probably won $25 down there. Buffalo!
Oh,
such good stuff, man. We'll be back. More hot topics on the way. NFL will close it down on a glorious Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall.
The World Series is on its way.
And SportsGrid brings you every angle. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid Radio presents Legends of the Fall.
Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. Diamondbacks left fielder Luis Gonzalez sends home the game-winning run versus Yankees closer Mariano Rivera in what is considered the greatest World Series of all time.
Floater, center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
That's the danger in bringing the infield in with a guy like Rivera on the mound.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi. Then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Pharrell Coast to Coast.
If the Yankees go in there and win that game with Schmidt on the bump and beat them in Cleveland, I mean, it is over. That should be their attainable goal. Win that game, and you're going to the World Series. There's no way they're winning 4 straight games against that team. They're not the Red Sox in 04. It's not happening.
It's Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Farrell. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. On the home of the winning edge, the SportsGrid Radio Network.
No way football is playing in the fall and winter.
Because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Boy, does time fly there. Where does 1 hour go? When you're talking to the big man on campus, it flies because the information is good and the times are even better. Thanks for everybody tuning into the show today, having fun along with us here. A couple more NFL games I do want to hit because we've got a great slate. Great slate in college football, great slate in the pros, Jeff. Houston, Green Bay. Houston on the road, getting 2.5 points, 3 at a lot of outlets now as well. 47.5 as a total. I've loved what I saw out of both of these teams. This is a great game. If I had to pick this game as a side, I got to tell you, though, I'm still going Green Bay right now at home, Jeff.
Yeah, they're playing well, right? They're starting to look like that team we thought they'd be. You know, Jordan Love's good to go. The Texans last week got off the schneid, beat up New England. New England's no good, though. I still worry about the Texans' offense. I just think they're a group that they lack having their weapons healthy. That said, Joe Mixon is back, and he made them look like a different offense. I was waiting for him to come back. Yeah, and he finally came back. It's worked like a charm. I got to tell you, I mean, we don't bet a lot of overs anymore in college or in the NFL, but 47.5 still struck me as a bit low here. I think this could be 27-24, 31-27, something like that. Both these offenses, now that they're healthy, I mean, I'm in. I mean, Jordan Love was great last week against a bad Arizona defense. Would mix him back. That's a different offense. I like the over here.
Yeah, that game was a little bit windy and cold last week, too. Green Bay was moving up and down the field. This week, Jeff, in Green Bay, that's what you got to love. Like late October action. 71 degrees at kickoff, Jeff. No precipitation in the forecast. Winds around 10 miles an hour. So no hindrance there. So those two teams certainly should get after it, Jeff. Detroit and Minnesota. I say right now for me, I think Detroit is the best team in the NFC. Now, granted, it hurt. They lost a big defensive lineman in Aiden Hutchinson. I think they beat Minnesota this weekend, Jeff. I'm willing to bet on them. Now, if you're looking for those flags out here, 75% of the tickets coming in on Detroit. Line opened up at 1.5 as a favorite towards Minnesota, Jeff. Still 1.5 today. But I love Detroit. I just love the way they're playing. Are you on Minnesota, or you have any feelings about this game?
Yeah, I am on Minnesota here. I think we're still disrespecting them considerably in the market. Like
we are.
They're undefeated. They're off a bye, and we're not even going to give them 3 points of being at home. Like that's still, to me. Look, if this is 3, I understand, but you're not really getting much of anything to bet on Detroit here. Throw in the fact Detroit's going to be without Aiden Hutchinson. That's a big loss. You now have to realize that. Maybe when you're in the game, you're like, well, we're here. Let's try to do it. But now he's gone, right? That's concerning. And you got Darnold off a bye. Lions have kind of owned this series the last couple of games.
Yeah,
I think Minnesota wins this one. Detroit will win it late in the season. It's hard to win in the division. That said, Moneyline's $1.20 here. I like that.
Yeah, it's again a great card. Now, Jeff, we can't end the show without talking about the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Giants. Saquon going home to MetLife. Line opened up at 3.5. It's still 3.5 at a lot of outlets, but now 3s are cracking through. Heavy favorites for the Eagles in the betting public markets here, Jeff. 42.5 as a total. You're going to lose it. Jordan Mailata's not going to be there. They got some pretty good pass rushers, but also, Andrew Thomas is down for the New York Giants. How does this game play? The Eagles can't lose this. And if they do, as an Eagle fan, it's even going to be hard watching games from here on out if you lose to the Giants. What are your thoughts here on the Eagles-Giants game coming up this weekend?
Yeah, so is this my best bet on the board? No, but I did play the Giants at 3.5. I mean,
I can't blame you.
The whole world for the Eagles, and the line's going down. I think we just have to realize, Donnie, like the Eagles, when we say like if they lose this game, they probably should have lost to Cleveland, right?
No, they should. They dominated that game, though. They dominated
but
that game.
But they are who they are with Nick Sirianni. They're a loser group that's not generally prepared, and they play down a competition. Donnie, they're 2-8 over their last 10 games as a favorite. They don't win by margin. So you're going to give me 3.5.
4-14, like what? 4-10, like what are they over like their last like 75% of a season? Like they're not that 10-1 football team. Like they crashed and burned late in the season. And also, Jeff, how many times in the past the Eagles, main notion they could just lean on was we are going to beat the hell out of you in the first and second quarter and coast to a victory. Jeff, no points in the first quarter. You can't sustain that.
No, you can't. And you're not going to have Jordan Mailata, so you get Lane back, but now Jordan Mailata's out. I'll tell you another thing, too. Dexter Lawrence had a great season. I mean, he has 7 sacks already? He's good. Really impressive. You're probably not going to have Darius Slay. All of a sudden, this game's a lot more even than you might think. I've not been that impressed with Jalen Hurts. Sorry. Neighbors is back. I'll grab 3.5 because it's going to 3. If this is an 8, 9, 10-point game late, this Eagle team played out of competition. It just is what it is.
He's the big man on campus. I'm Donnie Wrightside. Today was a Football Friday. Chris Brown, the Wheels of Steel. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.
Fall is here. It's getting cooler. Football and the World Series are coming in. Life is good. SportsGrid.